They're here. It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
The Film Lounge presents...
Spoiler Free Movie Review!
First you gotta do the truffle shuffle. Come on!
with Chris Gooch.
I'm the dude.
Groot, put your seatbelt on! Die, spaceship! Yes! That was awesome!
Okay, so the A-holes are back, and after setting such high expectations and such a huge box office result with the first film, how do you really follow that up? Well, with a whole lot of close-to-the-bone daddy issues, peppered throughout a series of huge set pieces, massive splashes of colour, on-the-point music cues, and mostly well-placed humour.
So here we are, a thief, one thug, an assassin, a maniac, and an angry little tree.
They're off to save the galaxy for a second time, but can this band of misfits win the audience over a second time? The short answer, yes.
You know, they told me you people were conceited douchebags, but that isn't true at all.
Dude!
I'm using my wrong eye.
Set 6 months after the original film, the Guardians of the Galaxy essentially are guns for hire. Not necessarily mercenaries, but they are willing to do the jobs that others are not. After pissing off their latest employer, the Guardians have a chance encounter with none other than Peter Quill's dad, Ego the Living Planet. Or Ego the Living Human, who looks frightfully like an aged up Jack Burton, who went full Big Trouble in Little China all up in his own planet.
The Sovereign, the Ravagers. They all want us dead.
That's a really bad sign.
The team gets split up, the Ravagers get involved, there's lots of quips, lots of action, and if you allow yourself, maybe a tear or two come the end.
What's that?
He says, welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy.
When comparing this to its predecessor, I have to say that honestly, I enjoyed this a lot more than the original. However, I might be in the minority in that department. I personally was not as big a fan of the original as many people were. I felt the humour beats were always just a half second out of whack, I thought the action sequences were a little too wire-worky, and the characters were always just a little flat. This sequel has improved on all those aspects. The humour hits, the action looks and feels a whole lot better, and a lot of characters, including second-tier characters such as Yondu and Nebula, get really fleshed out in this film. There are a few similar story beats to the original, such as a visit to Earth and a music-led title sequence amongst other things, but each of these beats are done in a refreshing way that doesn't make it feel like they're just retreading the same formula. This film thankfully steers away from the Star Wars feel of the original, and now appears to be veering more into the Star Trek tone, which I believe the series is all the better for. But most enjoyably, writer-director James Gunn has taken influences from beyond just the Trek and Wars universes, and you even get a look and feel of other great sci-fi series such as Firefly and the criminally underappreciated Lex.
Look out!
Oh, wow.
I tried, guys.
The film also delivers on the soundtrack, once again, playing a key role in Peter's relationships with his many different family quadrants in this film. There are songs that will make you smile, songs that will amp you up, and songs that will hit you in the cavity where your heart used to be. Much like the original, the songs helped shape the overarching themes of this film, and this time the film goes much deeper than a normal Marvel film, and far deeper than anything Star Wars has ever done. The theme of family is strong in this film, and not in a Vin Diesel having a barbecue and saying the word family as many times as possible during the runtime kind of way. No, the family themes go deep in this film and are centered very much around Chris Pratt's Peter Quill, exploring the differences in family relationships, the differences between the biological father and the father that raises you, the family you are born with and the family that you choose.
After all these years, I've found you.
And who the hell are you?
I'm your dad, Peter.
Of course, in between all this heavy family stuff, there are some cool sequences such as a really inventive Yondu whistling spear sequence, a rocket holding his own set piece, cameos from Sylvester Stallone that are brief but clearly world building, plus there's a great Stan Lee cameo that finally supports one of the biggest fan theories that people have had since Stan started appearing in the MCU. We get a whole bunch of post-credit scenes. Some that are funny, and some that are making bold statements about what to expect in the third Guardians movie. And of course, there's Baby Groot. Many will call him a scene stealer, but I wouldn't go that far. I found many other things that were more enjoyable than Baby Groot. But nonetheless, he was still awesome.
That's a really bad sign.
The film isn't without its faults though. It's easily 15 minutes too long. There are one or two sequences where you just feel the need to call BS on how the characters survive some of the big explosions and fights. The film also suffers from one of the big problems that struck Avengers Age of Ultron. Some moments are just undercut by the desire to make a joke. It's not as bad as Age of Ultron in many respects, and admittedly, the third act negates a lot of this complaint. But it would be nice every now and then not to be reminded every 25 seconds that these characters are supposed to be funny.
What is he doing?
He said the skin is too thick to be pierced from the outside, so
That doesn't make any sense.
I tried telling
Skin
him
is
that!
the same level of thickness from the inside as from the outside.
I realize that!
Thankfully though, one of the biggest complaints about Marvel films is noticeably absent in this movie. The death from above trope is being replaced with a death from everywhere approach. It's coming from above, below, the left, the right, and places we haven't even thought of yet. And it certainly makes for a refreshing change passing through Phase 3. Overall, if you fell head over heels in love with the original, you might just feel slightly let down by this film because you're not necessarily getting more of the same. However, if you're like me and felt the original was just slightly lacking, then this might just hit all the right notes. With a whole universe of cosmic possibilities on the horizon, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 will have you buying soundtracks, have you buying Baby Groot figures, and will even have you rewatching Kurt Russell's back catalogue of films. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 gets 4.25 out of 5 stars. Or 4.25 out of 5 questions about where Baby Groot got that severed toe from.
All you do is yell at each other. You're not friends.